That's just kind of part of how we do things. Yeah. So being detail oriented in terms of screening, defending, doing all the little things, embracing the physicality of the game. You find a lot of guys work on their game. They put a lot of time into it. Obviously, we have access to them in the summer and the fall, but until you get into like really, full practices and stuff, guys have kind of been playing two-hand touch. And in the Big Ten, they don't play two-hand touch. So we have to be able to embrace the physicality of the game. I think that's more a mindset than anything. I think that's a very important piece. But no, just honing in on the details and trying to be as fundamentally sound as possible. I know that sounds hokey, but teams that have a lot of discipline that is fundamentally sound, they normally have a lot of fun.
What does the addition of David Jenkins Jr. bring to this team?
Well, experience. For a young backcourt, I really like our young guards, but somebody that's played a lot of games. And obviously, he's been able to put the ball in the basket. He can really score. And he's had a lot of different experiences. Obviously, this is his fourth school in 6 years. And so I think he's transitioned into those other schools, even though he followed his coach in his first move. But just glad we have him. I think he's going to really help us and give us that scoring punch.
You lost a lot of your leaders on your team last year. Who do you expect to fill those roles, and how do you expect them to fill them?
Well, everybody always takes their thoughts from the previous team. And when you've been somewhere a long time, you can kind of piece your team together like it's different teams, not always the team that was last year. We had obviously some really talented guys that we lost. Sasha Stefanovic was a really good player for us. Jaden Ivey obviously was a great talent. Travion Williams was a super player in our league. Eric Hunter did a lot of things for us, was very efficient last year offensively and made the all-defensive team. Isaiah Thompson started half the year, could make threes, take care of the basketball. And so, there's a lot of pieces there. And a lot of people dwell on kind of what you lost instead of the positives of the people that you have. And you got to let it organically kind of happen. And you're kind of finding, who can guard, who can take care of the basketball, who can play with who, all those little things. But I don't like to come to those answers. And I know that stinks when you're interviewing somebody. But I don't like to have an answer about something that I haven't seen yet. And so just trying to work with those guys and just kind of seeing who plays harder than who, who's more productive than the other guys, and then kind of what best group can go together. So, but we had a good team last year. I thought our talent was a little bit higher than our production. And that's one of the few times I think that's happened at Purdue. In the last 20 years. And so, you want to be able to be more productive than your talent. And even though we had a great year, we didn't win the league. I thought we should have advanced further in the tournament. We won 29 games, which is pretty cool, right? But it's still you want to do better. And, you want to do better for, the fans and the former players. And so, we have a lot of work to do, but yet we're excited about it. We got a very high skill level. We have a lot of people on our team that can shoot the basketball. And we have a very good center that's established, but we also got a very deep front line and some very exciting young guards, but we just got to speed up a little bit in the backcourt with the experience.
Now that he's healthy, what have you seen from Caleb, and what kind of role do you think he can have this year?
Well, he didn't play in the summer, so I think he can do a couple different things. I think last year playing the 4, he did some good things for us, but he also had certain matchups. It was tough for him defensively. But he's really shot the ball well. His ability to shoot the basketball, to be able to play the 5, kind of a stretch 5, but also still be able to play some 4. So there's going to be a lot of competition there, obviously with Mason and Trey and Zach. That's where we really like our depth there. But now he's looked really good here.
I know it's early, but Fletcher and Braden, what have you kind of noticed out of them, and how have they been able to kind of acclimate themselves into this team?
Yeah, well, both of them have a lot of similarities. It's one of those things where a lot of times when you talk about two people, you got to have two separate answers. But they're both really competitive. They're both skilled. They can pass the basketball. They see what's going on. They have a really good feel, for the game. Just trying to get them up to speed, kind of learning our terminology, learning our system more than anything, and then just trying to help them defensively and kind of our team defense, and the rules that we have. But no, both of them are good players, and they're going to be really good players at Purdue.
Matt, how do you best use all those assets you have in your front court? You
Right.
got a couple of different looks here, both in getting those guys minutes, but also getting them into the sort of situations they need to be
it's
successful.
more of just trying to work towards, what's the most productive and how can we win the most games, more than like talking about actual minutes with it. But, being able to play differently when Zach's not in there. Obviously playing through Zach and getting him the ball in the low post, but utilizing Trey Kaufman as a post-up guy when he's at the 4. Really utilizing Caleb's ability to shoot the basketball. I think that's really jumped out how well he's shooting it. And then Mason's done such a good job of playing off of people and then being able to get shots that way. And so just trying to run our stuff, but also run things that help each one of those lineups, depending on kind of who's with who.
Is there kind of benefit to having two different looks now, whereas before every time you subbed at the 5, you were always big?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Like I think when you have to, deal with Ross-Ade, you're normally going to get to their backup. He draws a lot of fouls, and so like most people don't have good backup centers. And if they do, they're probably young and they're not quite ready. So we normally get into people's, bench but utilizing, those guys' skill sets more than anything, especially the guys that can shoot. But I think we can get some matchups, with any of them. Like they're all different, but they all are skilled. They can shoot the basketball. I mean, Zach's obviously not going to go out on the perimeter and shoot a lot of perimeter shots, but all the other guys do, and all the other guys stretch the defense. So when any of those 3 are with him, they have the ability to pass, they have the ability to shoot the ball, and that really puts people in binds.
The returning guys that you have, are they embracing kind of this new leadership role to have to be the vocal leaders of this team after being kind of that second group last year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're embracing it. I think we're working on it. They're not. We have a lot of quiet guys, and you can't be quiet on the court. And so we're really trying to work towards that. And somebody asked me that earlier, and I just started answering without really answering the question. But Mason Gillis has been a good leader for us. Ethan Morton's been a good leader for us. It doesn't mean other people haven't. I think those 2 guys have kind of jumped to the forefront of guys that have been vocal leaders and guys that know what's going on. It's important to have guys that are consistent, that do their job, that can help other people. So,
It's day one. Sorry, Coach.
You're fine. You're cool.
It's day one, but who's caught your eye for point guard?
Well, Braden Smith is kind of our only quintessential true point guard. David Jenkins is a guy that's played a lot and had a lot of experience, and he probably has the best feel in terms from a defensive standpoint. But he's very good at shooting the basketball and scoring the basketball. So kind of trying to find out like who can work with who. We also can do it by committee. So Ethan Morton has a lot of good point guard skills. It might not be from a quickness standpoint, but he's athletic, he's big, he can pass. So getting him in there, Fletcher's a guy that can pass the ball. So, having a couple of those guys together when Braden's not in the game, I think will be the way that we'll go. But they'll be different, when Braden's in there, I think we can have any set of 2 and 3. When the other guys are in there, I think they're going to need another guy to help, especially when you're dealing with people that are going to be pros.
So are you saying Braden's your starter right now?
No, I don't pick starters in September. So that's, you got to kind of earn that. Not kind of earn that, you have to earn that. So, but no, he's a good player. And so, like, you want to make sure that their development, sometimes you don't start guys right away just to keep them going. It just can't happen for them from day one. And sometimes you do. You have to make decisions as a coach and what's best for your team.
What's the most important thing you need to see in these next 5 weeks before the games get here?
Just being able to play without turning over, embracing the physicality of the game, knowing what's going on from our defensive and offensive rules, and then being able to stick with it. You got to know what you're doing. And more than anything, everybody knows what they're doing and they're on the same page. Now you get to the competitive piece of it. Like, our competitive spirit has to keep growing through these practices.
Hey, man, last year you seemed like there was lots of pressure on Purdue all the time. You had a lot of teaching moments today during your first practice.
Yeah.
And you looked more relaxed at kids. Is that down to their basketball IQ again?
Yeah, well, it's the way I am all the time, to be honest with you. So, always trying to teach, always trying to kind of get it figured out and having a pulse on your team more than anything. So you're learning just like they're learning. You can learn a lot from players if you listen and you watch and you kind of see what's going on. And I'm for them, like when they're taking everything in. When guys don't take things in, either that's their learning curve, or they're not paying attention, or But those guys that are bought in, that are listening, that are doing those things, those guys have a lot of success here. But I like what our staff has done. We've done a very good job of evaluating talent that works at Purdue and works in our league. And we've taken through the years, whether it's PJ or Dakota or Ryan Klein or Sasha Stefanovic, that weren't ranked very high, but ended up being really productive players. And so I think we have some very similar guys on this roster that nobody's talking about that are going to be really productive players at Purdue. And that's what it's about, right? Getting guys to gel and play well together. And when you do that, you're going to win a lot of games.
What would you say the one key thing is that you're looking to improve on from last season, if you could encompass it in one theme?
Just doing our job. Like, not one thing like tangible, like from a basketball standpoint, like shooting or defending. When we broke plays last year, we weren't highly successful. When we didn't do our job on defense, it really put a burden on our offense. When we turned the ball over too much, that was really tough for us. When we didn't turn the ball over, we won. But it's also, you have pillars of the game that are never going to change. Taking care of the basketball, rebounding the basketball, playing well together, sharing the basketball. Those things are like so important on every team. So like, don't get away from those things and don't put a focus too much, because half of our personnel is gone. It's not the same team, but then again, like, you have to learn from, the mistakes that you made and hopefully grow from them.
Matt, I thought Braden really kind of stood out today. Just kind of, where is he right now in terms of where you'd want him given the opportunity ahead of him and his inexperience at this point?
Yeah, he's done some good things. He's a very intelligent player. He's got a good savvy about him and has a really good feel. He's got a high competitive spirit. He competes. Basketball's important to him. And him and Fletch, like, all the things I just said, you could say that the same thing about Fletcher. Like, they have a lot of similarities about them as players. But no, Braden's done a good job. He didn't play at all in the summer because he was resting from the 2 surgeries he had on the Jones fracture. So just happy that he's healthy and making strides.
You obviously built so much around Zach this season. Just not having him in a practice, does that?
You just move on. Yeah, it's like life. Like, the next guy's up. So like, it's like something. So if he can't play, or he's in foul trouble, or he's hurt, or something's going on, like, the next guys have to be able to play. And so you move on. You don't really, talk about it too much. And obviously we hope he gets back out there, but it's also, it's part of competition.
But you practice the same stuff without him out there?
Not exactly, no. No, we didn't do a lot of post-up stuff today. So we do a lot of post-up stuff when he's there.
Yeah, I know he's got to go through the protocol and all that stuff, but do you have any idea when you get him?
No, I know. So we'll go tomorrow, and then we take Thursday off, then we'll practice again Friday and Saturday, and take Sunday off. So just whenever he gets out of the protocol.
How long have you been without him?
About a week, if you made me guess. I was recruiting and came back and found out about it. So
What happened?
he hit his head. It's a big head too.
Like on the ceiling, or?
I don't know. I didn't get the details.
Was what he hit his head on okay?
Exactly. There you go.
Hey, Jenkins, can he fit into that point guard mix at both ends of the floor?
I think from a defensive standpoint, I think offensively having somebody like Braden with him like helps him at times, but also having somebody like Fletch or Ethan with him too, I think that helps him too. And that's what I kind of said, like when Braden's out, it'll be more like committee. And we've done that before. We've had guys be able to get us an offense, and then Dakota's been a guy that, passed a lot in the half court. Ryan Klein passed a lot in the half court. So it's not, technically per se that point guard that's quintessential, that does all point guard things. You got a couple people there doing it. And we even flip it like with a guy like Travion and got the ball to him where he's passing a lot in the half court. So it just, we'll see. Things like I said earlier, like I like to organically kind of let things happen, keep putting them in different situations, keep putting them with different players, and just see who plays well and how things go.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.